further delay, let's open the presentation to Rupmeet and his team. Thank you, Rupmeet.
Thank you guys for coming, and I hope the sun outside is not driving you to go for a run. Thanks for coming, and thanks William for giving us this opportunity to introduce Optimus as well as share some of the processes around business intelligence, what we do, and that's our bread and butter. So let's begin the presentation. So today's presentation, I will start with Optimus. What is Optimus? What are our values? And specifically because you are students and you must be looking for some opportunities to come and join our team. So I will speak about that, and then I will do a case study where I will show you some demo as well as the process of business intelligence report development. So Optimus is a Canadian IT consulting company, and we have about more than 100 plus IT professionals. Our team is spread in Canada as well as in India. We have our core team members. We have about, say, more than at least 10 years plus of consulting as well as outsourcing experience. So our core services, our whole Optimus organization is divided into 4 specific business units which serve the IT industry here in Canada. And the one is Optimus Dev, which focuses mainly on the traditional software development. The other one is Optimus QA, which is about the testing services, testing of any application or any ERP which the customers usually upgrade to or implement. And the third one is business intelligence. That's the focus for today. And in business intelligence, we provide things like reports development, dashboarding, data warehousing, and those kind of related services. And the last one is mobile application development, which reminds me that I have to switch off my phone. Okay. So the mobile application development focuses on developing the mobile apps for the consumers as well as for the enterprises. So just a brief overview on that: software development, software testing, business intelligence, and mobile application development. We have more than 60 plus clients with whom we have worked so far, and we are working nearly about say 300 plus projects, very interesting projects that we are working on our day-to-day basis. There are like projects, it can be only for developing all these reports, say 70 or 80 reports for one ERP, or it can be upgrading the entire ERP system and going to a cloud version. So these are like different breadth and depth of the projects that we do, which are very interesting. These are a little bit about our community engagements. So Agile Vancouver, if you had heard about this, TEDx Kid BC. Anybody who has heard about TEDx Kid here? TEDx, yeah. Yes. Okay, so we support them. Then VanQ is the QA events that we have over there. Then TIE for entrepreneurs and all. And Science World, Future Science World, and Viva. Our online presence, you can follow us at these Twitter's accounts. We post excellent, I would call it excellent because it depends on the projects too. The excellent blog posts about how we solved a specific client's problem and what are the different solutions for, or say, turnaround solutions that we bring for the customer problems. And these are our LinkedIn groups. Please feel free to join us. These are our core values that we have, you can say, that's in our blood. Any core team member, we definitely have all these core values to make sure that our company is successful things like entrepreneurial spirit, like absolute customer satisfaction. These are like the primary thing for us. The sleep is not important, but if there's a customer delivery that we have to make, that takes precedence about over anything. Even if the girlfriend is calling, that has no value in front of customer. And we celebrate success too. Any questions so far? Okay. Now this slide must be interesting to you guys. This is a typical career path that anyone who joins at Optimus usually see. So we have both sales path, which would be more towards the BCom students, and the other is technical part, which is more for someone who has, say, computer science or technical background. So after, say, the undergrad, depending on the skill sets, they can either become a sales associate and then scale up to sales manager, sales director, or they can join, or the computer science graduates, they can come as a technical associate or business analyst and go to the senior level and then technical manager. And they both combine to become a business unit leader. Over the period of, say, 5 or 6 years and of time, and you have accumulated depth of knowledge and the experience about the industry, local industry, as well as the projects, then there is definitely a chance, or I can call it an opportunity, to participate in the core team, where things like you have sales quotas as a business unit leader, you will have marketing targets, you will also have things like projects, like customer satisfaction. So these things will definitely be helpful. These attitudes will definitely be helpful to become business unit leader. Any questions on these? Or sales part or anything? All right. These are the two opportunities online, and sure. So, and more opportunities are available at the given link. So please feel free to apply and see which one interests you. Okay. So now I would be jumping to case study. Any questions? Please feel free to ask. Please stop me anywhere. Yeah.
So like as business students, like obviously our like primary skill set lies within business, but this kind of business technology course gives us like a lot of business application of technology.
Okay.
But so I'm just wondering, like, if you were looking into like as the kind of business analyst, like how deep of a level of understanding of like technology are you looking for in a candidate?
That is a very good question, and I have a live example, Martin. So Martin, would you like to take the answer?
Yeah, so my undergrad was here at UBC in cognitive sciences, where I took a lot of computer science courses and not that much in depth, but just I did an understanding of the technologies more than anything.
Right.
And then I took a Master's of Management, which is completely business. And it has been difficult for me getting into like the depth of SSRS reporting and all of that. But it's all about your frame of mind. It's all about if you can understand what's all the jargon that's being thrown at you. It's more about the framework of understanding, that way you already know.
Okay. Thanks.
So, okay, the case study that I would be going on today would be about how a typical business intelligence report is developed. Why would an organization would need a business intelligence report, and where Optimus fits in? What are the different tools and technologies that we use? And I will also show some demo. Anyone here understands or can give me an answer about why do an organization needs a business intelligence report? Or basically, what is a report?
It's a summary of data.
Awesome. So I should have put one other slide here, but I missed it. And I think that slide I copied from your class. And I use it on my client's presentation. Same thing. So, this is right. I passed. Okay, so there would, let's say in an organization, there would be many applications. Okay, individual small applications. One can be used by an accounting team. One can be used by, say, a field operations person. Or another one you can call it can be used by HR person. So when you have data at different location, it is very difficult for a senior manager or a senior management, to be precise, to see what's going on, whether they are making profit, whether their customers are happy, the employees are happy or not. So at that point of time, they want the right word is true version of the truth, right? So that's what they call a data warehouse. So what they do, they pull in data from these different sources, massage it, make sure it is in a perfect format, and then put into a data warehouse. Okay? So this data warehouse, as I learned in Williams' class, it's called, the data over here is called single version of the truth. So that means this data is the right data. If I'm getting any information from this data warehouse, it is right, and everybody in the organization should believe that data. Now, so using this data warehouse, you can create cubes. Should I go into details about cube?
Just one step. How do you get the data from how many HR how does it get into the data warehouse?
It is called master data management, and you use different tools to get the data. Things like XML format. It would be an example where how you can pull in data. So these are, I can call it as an integration layer where you integrate the data from different sources and put it here as a simplistic example.
I'm not sending you off, I'm sending them up because the program.
Oh. Okay. So the answer is right.
Ladies and gentlemen, what are the 3 letters we use?
ETL, yeah. Extract, term, and load. So I thought that it was more of a non-technical class.
I'm making sure that they pay
Okay.
attention.
Okay. Okay. So it's the process is called ETL, extract, transform, and load.
And you were asking me about cubes?
No, I was explaining to them that we can create cubes
I guess.
here, and then from these cubes you can quickly get the information for the end users. So this one would be the end users, and the reports that they will get can be in a tabular format, or it can be in a graphical dashboard. Okay, or these kind of reports can be accessible via web. Someone can log in right now and see. If I want to see how my salesperson is doing, or what's my revenue number right now, I can just go on my report online and check it. Every morning I can also receive those reports so that I don't have to go and log in. If I'm traveling, I can just get the email on my mobile phone. I can just see, oh yeah, these are the clients who are having issues, who are not paying us. I have to call them, bug them, and get the money. So, yes, please.
So the information has to be on cloud?
No, it's not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily. So cloud is infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
You can have infrastructure on your desktop, if you can have infrastructure on your server, physical server. So it depends on the organization where they want to place the BI infrastructure. Okay.
Rupmeet, if you don't mind, this is a wonderful thing that you're talking about, especially when you draw the diagram. So I'm going to sort of tie in my lecture with what you're saying, just so that you understand that this is not theory, but that you guys are not just teaching this, you guys are doing this. So a moment ago you talked about cubes somewhere on the right hand side where I'm sitting, right? Cubes. So I'm going to ask the students, what do you think Rupmeet is saying when it comes about cubes in terms of data structures?
And why do we create them? That's an important question.
What's a cube? Okay. When Rupmeet says cube, what pops up in your mind? Three-dimensional. The keyword is dimensional. Where else have you seen this word dimensional? The star schema. Thank you.
Yeah. And another question is, why do we create cubes? Why do a business make a decision to create a cube? Already they can pull the information from data warehouse. Why do we need cubes?
Maybe you create cubes with certain information dimensions, and then it's easier for you to use a certain cube rather than having to retake the same data from the data warehouse.
You are almost there. So let's say, as I mentioned, data warehouse. Data warehouse has information from HR, from finance, from accounting, from all the business functions that you can even think of. Okay, support team, X, Y, and Z. So if I create a report, pull report directly from the data warehouse, and let's say we have an organization with say 10,000 employees, and in a 10,000 employees we can say 100 would be senior management person, okay, who would only rely on reports and emails. That's the only two things that they do in their daily time, in their day-to-day work. So in order to pull that information directly from data warehouse for those 100 people, and those 100 people, I can 100 person, so 100 into, say, each would require, say, 3 or 4 reports. Let's say 3 reports, and 4 times a day, so 3 4s are 12. So technically speaking, you are pulling the report, you are pulling 1200 reports. That means 1200 times you are talking to data warehouse. So when 1200 times you are talking to data warehouse in a single day, that means the processor speed, can I go more technical here? Okay, so the processor speed, or the speed where you are pulling the data from the data warehouse, has to be fast enough so that it doesn't stop the data warehouse to get real-time data from these different sources. Okay. That is one of the reasons. So what we do, we create specific cubes for specific business functions. Okay, so this is this cube. Let's say it is for HR. So all the HR reports will be pointing towards this cube. So it is very easy for me to get the information quickly. Okay, so you must have seen when we use, say, Internet Explorer. However, we are Microsoft Gold partner, so I should not say that. But let's say if we use Internet Explorer and we type in google.com or anything.com, you see it takes a lot of time, right? So just imagine that Internet Explorer is the same thing that you are pulling this 1200 report from this data warehouse. However, when you use Google Chrome, you just type in and it's there. So that is from the cube. A simple example. Okay. But that is not actually related to BI. That is more about the speed. Okay. So here we have answered why BI. So organizations need BI, and where Optimus fit in. So we can do this stuff, all this stuff.
So just to highlight what they learned, and also to make it super relevant to your presentation. Remember, I think it was Daru or Rex who said, do you only have 1 star? And I think I answered you that you can have as many stars as you need, right? And that's exactly what we were talking about. The HR cube would be 1 star, and the accounting cube would be an open star, and so on. So you would have as many stars as you need to produce a cube. Okay? And I hope that mentally you can sort of picture yourself to see that the star is the cube, because the cube is multidimensional, and the star is also multidimensional. Okay? So remember how we use the cube to do that little spreadsheet thing? Well, that's exactly what Ruby is talking about. Using the cube to do that little, what we call a little spreadsheet report, which is basically a pivot table.
Yes, pivot tables or things like that. You just need to point to a specific. Direction.
Yeah. Thank you, Rupmeet. I just wanted to make sure that this is totally in sync with what we're talking about.
So now there's an interesting question that might be popping in your head, especially it did in mine when I was taking William's class. How would I know if, let's say, I'm a business analyst, or if I am taking the requirements, how would I know that this is what an end user would need? So let's say if I go to a CFO and say, what would you need? Oh, I need revenue report. So anyone can guess what would be there in revenue report. Anyway, don't say just a dollar value, but I need some more.
Expenses.
Yes.
Where are the revenues coming from?
Where the revenue is coming from? Who would be your client, customer? Is there a customer ID, whether I will call it as Optimus Information Inc. and full address in that report, or do I just need Optimus? So those are called requirements, not just the reports. So at Optimus, we typically follow this process in order to do any BI work. Okay. Let me, because today's example, I would be more focused on the end user work, which is reports development or dashboarding. So let me share my experience with this process only on that level, not about creating a data warehouse at this point of time. Okay. So what we do here, we start with requirements capturing. So we will interview the report owner, typically, who would be from the customer side, who will be giving us all the requirements. I will be sharing the requirements template as well here. And he will say, okay, in my report, the revenue report, for example, or say, let's say, Martin and I, we were working yesterday on customer aging report. So let's begin with that. So customer aging report. Any idea what does this mean? This doesn't mean that the customer is old. It means that the customer who has not paid us yet, but has already taken the services or already using the product. So things like customer number, customer name, and how much he owes for till date. Okay, would be a typical customer aging report. But I would like to see more, like who are the customers who haven't paid me more than 1 month ago, or who hasn't paid me for say 2 or 3 months ago. Their bill is still pending. So that would be covered here. Okay, say 1 day to 30 days from now, 30 to 60 days, and say more than 60 days. Okay. So here you will have some values: customer number 123, customer name ABC, dollar value is $1234, and here is $1,000, and here is $234. That means in 2 months' time, 1 month ago, we had invoiced him for within 60 to 30 days about $234, and this month we had billed him $1,000. In total, he has not paid us $1,234. Is this example clear? Okay. So I will, as a accounts receivable person, I should get this report every day so that I can make sure the person, the company who has not paid me for long, I can contact Mafia or something, call them and give me the money.
Getting collection.
Yeah. So this would be like a total
collection.
Okay. So this would be like kind of total amount. This would be a typical report an accounts receivable person would like to see. Okay. So what I would do, let's say myself and Martin will sit with the accounts receivable manager, who would be typically the report owner, and ask, what are different fields that you would like to have in the report. How would the report look like at the end of the day? Whether you want all the line items, you guys must understand line items, right? All the line items of the customer repeating, so it should be 1, 2, 3, ABC again. So all the different invoices should come here, or it's just a summary where you have just a total sum, summary sum. So this should be, let's say, 256, another customer, say Z, Y, B, whatever the customer name is. So how should a report look like? Okay. Whether you want to have total, let's say, if the company is global, there will be different currencies, right? Do you want to add a currency column here? So what are design? So that is covered in report design in the requirements gathering process. Then what we do, we also capture other information. Let me show you the requirements template. So this is a typical document which is right now focused on Microsoft Dynamics AX 2012 as an ERP. If we have to develop a report for that, what are different questions that we ask to fill these documents? This document. So this document will be specific for one report. So we will have business requirements. Why would a customer need this report? It would be 1 or 2 liners, not like a paragraph or 2, 3 pages. A proposed solution scope of that specific report. If we are using those terms and acronyms, because this requirements document will go to the software developer. He would not know what AR means. Is it accounts receivable, or he might say something else. I don't know. Okay. So those terms and acronyms will come here. Then some assumptions and dependencies. Assumptions would be, let's say, an invoice which has been balanced forward to the new year. Let's say in 2012, somebody has not paid me. I will balance forward and put it on 2013. So then those invoices, I should not recount them. I should not add those values when I'm showing the value here. That would be an example. Those are like some assumptions and dependencies that I will cover here. Things like business logic that a technical person might not know. So this is to answer your question. You might not know all your technical questions. You might not have the technical knowledge to develop a report, but using this template, you would be able to help or assist the software developer to develop those reports.
So yeah, so to answer your question, and here that's our job. Our job is to be the liaison between our client and our developer team. So to be that middle layer where we can talk to the client and translate whatever the technical team is telling us to a business sense that they can make sense of.
Okay. And Rupmeet, if I may just interject for 10 seconds here.
Yes.
Students, you have seen this intermediary document before in another course. Where have you seen it before? 47. You are in 47. 46. And other place you have to deal with them. Remember your Commerce 335 development reports for the Excel project? Okay, that was your interface between what the user see and what you have to produce.
So scrolling down, then functional requirements. Now this section will cover like how the report will look like. Okay. So when we are discussing the report columns with the user or logic with the user, we open the, let's say, ERP application and ask the user which screen on the front end that you're looking at, because user is not a technical person, he doesn't know, or he or she doesn't know about the database. So I will say, okay, go to accounts receivable, in this example, go to accounts receivable, customer, then you will see invoices, click on invoices, you will see that screen, invoices screen. Here you have customer account number, customer name. If you double click it, another screen will pop up, it will tell you all the lines. So then what we will do, we will capture all the screenshots, put it here, and we will give those, on the screens we will put some numbers. And I will explain later So those numbers will be basically your report field numbers, which are like these: customer number, customer name. So what in the design, when I'm preparing the design, I'll be putting it here like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So what customer is saying, on screen number A or figure number A, you will find customer number, you will find customer 2. And when you double click it, when you go to figure number C or figure number D, you will find this value. So you have to sum it up to get this value. Please don't mind my handwriting. I have a terrible handwriting here. Okay. So that we capture here and we put the designer here. Then things like what a report title should be, whether it's a customer aging report or we call it customer aging or we call it cust aging, or accounts receivable, a customer aging report, whatever the end user would like to have, the name comes here. Then we do the report layout, whether it should be landscape, what should be the size of it. So these are like very small source information that we try to capture during our requirements gathering process. After that, we do. Yes, please.
This process, when you list out all this could be like pages upon pages.
Yeah. So this is only for one report.
Okay. So it could be like huge.
Yes. So it can be about say 8 pages or say 15 pages, depending on what is the complexity of the report. But let's say there are. So the report that Martin and we were doing yesterday, they were like how many designs?
It says 4 designs of about 25 items each design.
So 25 items each design into 4 means like 100 items. So then you have to do 100 data. There will be 100 lines over here. Each line will be represented on a screen shot with a number. And there will be a data mapping, which means data mapping means you will go to the back end, because once you have captured all the requirements, you will come to your desk or come back to your office. Then you will play with the test cases on the front end screen and look into database. So it is not like, it's not very intuitive. You have to make sure, you have to, like here your business knowledge will come into place. Okay, so if there is a table name called accounts receivable customer or cust table, that means, oh, the customer information should be there. So you will go there, select, you just use a select table, select statement. Any other statement that you have used?
No, it's just select where. And that's where it comes out also the part that I was telling you about the technology, of how it's not like I had never used, had seen really little about warehouse and all that stuff. But just by knowing the framework, I was able to know like that where star means, select star means that I'm going to select everything. It's learning those little lots of codes that will make your life way easier. Well, that will let you do your work.
It won't take more than a day to learn that. Yeah. Okay. Yes, please.
Like, how much time on average does it take to make a whole report? Like, doesn't the data get outdated by the time the whole report is made?
We are not worried about data. We are about to develop the report. Once the report is developed, it can be used every day.
Okay.
Okay. And usually, to answer your question, it takes about, say, 35 hours in total to develop one report, starting from the requirements process to get the approval and publish the report to, say, 110 hours. That's my record. So it depends. So what is the complexity of the report? So what usually we do, we divide the reports into 3 complexity: high, medium, low. Depending on the complexity, we already tell the customer upfront. It may take around, say, 35 to 40 hours, and if we need more, we'll get back to you or something like that.
And we have put a little bit of fuel into the fire. Usually the customer wants it next year or yesterday.
Oh, of course. Of course, yesterday. Sometimes they want the report first and ERP later. Sometimes it also happens. So here we put all the information which we think, like some technical conditions that we think, or so like another example from yesterday's. things like conditions and nodes. So we were referring to two different tables to get the output on the database, which looks same as we were seeing on the front end. When front end there was only one record, in database we were getting two records. So we tried to look at what's the difference between these two so that we can get only one record in the database. So we realized there was a flag. If the flag we put it as 0, then only one record or the right record we will get. So those kind of conditions will be also covered here so that it is helpful for the developer to develop the report. So once that is done, then we also capture things like grouping, how it should be sorted, what should be the subtotal, grand total. Now the H part is report parameters. Any idea what are these? Everybody understands reports, but what is report parameter? Any guesses? Yes, please.
Possible like special cases to that applies to a specific report, let's say certain languages and restrictions.
Any example? Because I cannot say it's right or wrong until unless you give me an example.
Maybe like this information can't be.
Okay, let me give you benefit of doubt. Okay, right. Okay, so the parameters, things like, for example, in this report, this was a customer aging report. When I will click on this report and say, okay, I want to run this report for today. Okay, so the word today that I'm using is an input parameter from an end user who is saying, please select today's date, which is 20th March 2013. So that is an input parameter. Okay, let's say I can say, please run this report for customer XYZ. Okay, so that is an input parameter that I just want to run for customer XYZ for today. Yes.
The students have seen this as an SQL filter.
Yes.
Where date is between 1st of January and 31st of January. So that is a synonym for parameter.
Yes. Okay, so the end user, what happens, he or she provides what are the different parameters they would like to see in this report. So when they will click on the link, HTTP or whatever, to run the report, it will first ask those input parameters from the user. Things like what should be the start date, from which date you would like to see the transactions that should be added as a in this customer aging report. Okay, so for example, I would like to see all the customers who haven't paid me from 1st of April 2012. So that from 2012 is the start date for me. Okay, that is I'm defining as an end user. So that is an input parameter to this report. That would be one. Okay, and I want to see till 31st December 2012. That is another input parameter. So start date, end date. And I want to see customers who are only in Canada or only in BC. So those are like my input parameters, which I am putting in to get the exact report that I'm looking for. Does it make sense now? Okay. So now things like report placement, where it should be placed. There's an interesting thing about an ERP that is called security. So accounts payable person will only have access to accounts payable module. Accounts receivable person will only have access to accounts receivable module. Right? Sales person will not have access to accounts receivable module. I don't want that my salesperson should see how much I am earning. If I'm, then he will ask me for more money, right? I won't be, the company won't be profitable. So that different, these modules are restricted to specific roles. So now, if it is an accounts receivable report, it should definitely go in a accounts receivable module, but where it should be placed? Should it be placed under, say, invoice section, or should it be placed under customer section? Where it should be placed? Okay, so those are the some of the information that we get from the customer or from the report owner before we develop the report. And the security key is the key that restricts other user groups to use that report. Okay, then these are user test scenarios where user provides us the information that if it has null value, it should not appear in the report. If it has negative value, it should not be added, or it should be added, or something like that.
May I just add another point of learning for students also? Remember in 335, I reminded you that the requirements document was not for the technical person, because in the end, you can't expect a programmer to understand what is invoice date or what is a 30-day past due. They are programmers, and they're very good programmers, but they don't know what's wrong. Right? What's wrong with the system? Why can't we start before the end date and things like that? They just don't get it, because not because they're silly, but because they haven't taken the accounting and finance courses that you might have taken. So therefore, you can see that even the user testing, the user has to provide the various scenarios that might be nonsensical or whatever it is for the system to function. And that's where you come in as the user to provide the so-called unusual circumstances to test the system.
So now, when I started this presentation, I mentioned that we have done projects where we have developed about, say, 60 or 70 reports just for one ERP, right? So that point is much helpful if I show you this document. This document is called Universal Report Specification Functional Document, where what happens, let's say we have to develop 60 reports, and every developer has a different style of designing a report. So what they can do, let's say if we are developing a report for Soda School of Business, for Dean, one developer is putting Soda logo here, and another report, again for Dean, another developer is putting a logo here of Soda, and another report, there is no logo, right? There is no standardization. Okay. Let's say these are dollar values, okay, in all the three reports. Some have dollar symbol in front of them, some don't. Okay. Someone is using Arial here because they like Arial 14. Someone is using say Calvary or something else, some other format. So in order to avoid those kind of situations and iterations and standardizing all the reports for a specific organization, or let's say a specific ERP, okay, we create this document before we even start with the requirements document of a report. So this covers things like, I think it's very intuitive. So again, business requirements, terms, acronyms, assumptions and dependencies, I'll just skip over that. Then things like, what should be on the top left corner? What should be on the top right corner, if there is? Report name, it should be in bold. It should be in Arial and 14. What should be the font size and color and logo? If we are putting a logo, what are the pixel sizes in those reports? It has to be consistent. Okay? And things like, when the report is run, there should always be a timestamp on the right hand side. Should it be HHMM, or it should be H and MM, whatever the end user would like to see, or it should be standardized across the ERP. So this is an example. I hope it helps to understand what I'm trying to say.
And we have seen this again in the 225 project. Remember all the forms I gave you, do they all look alike? Okay. I gave you each and every form, the customer form and the menu forms, they all look alike. They have to look alike, and you may have cursed me before, but that's okay. Every single little bit I put there, I think you must have a date format. You must make sure all the labels are clean. You must make sure that the buttons on the lower right hand side. Remember you did all that for 235. Now you see that in the professional world, Rupmeet requires you to do this for every single form. And if I may add one more thing, Rupmeet, in all these forms that you're showing the students, what is the, we know the purpose. What is the consequence of not adhering or not completing these forms? I guess is the question. What if I choose not to complete these forms, or I was negligent in completing these forms in some way? I was in a hurry. I was going for bubble tea, and so I decided to say yes to everything on the right hand side.
So this is the consequence. Your hours of 35 hours of developing a report will turn into 110, and the 110 will become 220. And you know, BI consultants, we charge by hour. So an end user or a customer would not like to pay for 110 hours into, let's say, we are charging $200 an hour. That's not the right price, but let's just put it. Okay, so they won't be paying for this many hours for 35 hours. So they will scrap the project. We will have a bad name in the society, IT society, and we will not get any more business.
Or
So
it also requires, it's a double work from a business analyst. So if you did all that work, if you did it wrong, you have to go back, talk to the customer, talk to the developers, redo everything, just so you can make that the deliverable.
to add to his point, the end, again I said, the end user is, let's say, an accounts payable, let's not call him a manager, let's say assistant. Okay. Reports development is our bread and butter, but not his. So he or she won't have time to sit again with us to give us the requirements. He or she will escalate our, I would say, this incompetence to the management. So these are like many, I would say, risks associated with it. Reputational risk, financial risk, these are the two main risks that we see if we don't fill this requirements document properly. And things like company name, report title, these are I should just skip these. And they look similar. Things like if you have to print the report, whether it should be letter, legal, ledger, whether it is printed in North America, if it's a global customer, whether it is printing outside or something. So these are very important pieces for us to make sure that we capture the requirements properly. Okay? Any questions so far? And I will quickly show you an example, and I think then we are done. Any questions? Okay, are we all good?
I have one question. What
Yes.
is the percentage of your business that comes from outside Vancouver?
Sorry?
What is the percentage of business that you're from outside of Vancouver?
Outside of Vancouver,
Yes.
I would say 15 to 20%.
So it's mostly in Vancouver.
Yeah, mostly in Vancouver. Focused, we are not exactly Vancouver. I hope you consider Burnaby also Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or mainland,
So yeah, then I would say. Yes.
Sorry, so this report is for your IT staff to make your customers' ERP system better, or is this just a report to the business?
Okay.
To
So this document is a requirements document of one report. So I was just going over the process. So whatever I've talked in past 20 minutes, showing you those two documents, is covered here. Okay. Then that document is passed. The requirements documents are passed to the developer. They do develop the report, and those test cases you refer them to test the report, and then design. There will be some iterations. Do a walkthrough with the user. Okay, this looks fine. What are different things that you want to make some changes? Okay, these are some changes that go under change request, and then it is again delivered to the customer. Okay, so that was the idea behind showing the requirements document. Okay, so the templates I've already shown you. Some testing tools that we use, I think it's not relevant anymore right now. I'll show you some demo. Okay, and please bear with me because this is a virtual machine on my laptop. This is not a live project because I cannot show you any customer's project because of that. So here we are using Microsoft technology called SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Services. You guys must be aware of that. Okay. So if you have not seen the database before, these are the different databases. Okay, and as Martin was saying, that you don't have to be technical enough to run a query. So because the tools and functionalities are much better that an end user can easily use it, you just do a right click over here and hit a select query. This is your select statement on that specific table, and you get the output here. Okay, so what you will do, basically on the front end you might be seeing something and you can say, okay, select department where department and ID equals 1. So this is what I'm seeing on the front end. Okay, for department number 1 it should say engineering. Oh yeah, it makes sense. So if in this report, let's assume there was a department number here. So I'll be saying to my developer that go to this table and pick the department ID as an example. Okay. So this is SQL. This is the database, and we use things like Report Builder or Visual Studio to build a report. This is how a report looks like. So these things are done by a developer, not by us. Okay? Not like a business analyst. Okay? You can make changes, you can add, delete, whatever. Then you can add to a specific database here. Then these are the queries that our developer will write. This would be like a line of code, select star from these things. We don't have to go in much detail about it, but I'm just showing it so that you can get a flavor of it. What exactly, like reason behind those 35 hours or those 100 hours, why we are spending so many hours here.
Just 10 seconds. Guys, can you see what's on the screen up there? Is it familiar to you?
Yeah.
They can work on this now.
Okay. All right. And so the same report that I'm showing you here, I've already ran the report because, as I mentioned, it's a virtual machine. So these are like input parameters, start date and end date. These are my start date and end date. And I clicked on view report here. And I got this report. So what I can do, if I want to go drill it down, if you have heard about drill down, I think. Okay. So drill down, you can click down and say, okay, I want to see reports for all the different territories of Australia. Okay, this is how it will look like. Okay, if I want to drill on the sideways, on going by quarters, so these will be quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4.
Just 1 second.
Yes, please.
Just 1 second. Guys, this is what I was trying to show you with the little thing. Did you mention the star schema and was it blue or something asking what's the time dimension? Well, Rupmeet is now playing the time dimension, drilling down to quarters.
So those are like, this is just an example. So this report is basically running on my report server that is on my virtual machine. To answer your question about the cloud, the same thing, I can put it on the cloud infrastructure and give you an access to it. So if you are a CFO and you want to see the sales report, you can just log in and just click on it, put the input parameters and say, okay, what's the sales report right now?
If you don't mind, just 1 more minute also. Now that I told you there's a time dimension, please name to me 2 other dimensions on this star or this cube. You can see it. 2 more dimensions. Location. Product. Thank you.
Alright. So this is how you can access the report. Now these reports, now technology has has given us so much to do with it that in these tools you can also configure to send an automated email to you every morning without you putting an input parameter. We can say, okay, it would be, the start date will be say starting of the year, 1/1/2013, and end date will be today's date. So whatever today's date would be on the system, it will automatically pick, run the report, and let's say if you want report at say 5 a.m. in the morning when you're going to the gym, So you will see the report, you click on it, okay. Whether you want it in a PDF format, or an Excel format, or in a web format, you can easily see on your phone, on your mobile device, whether it's an email, or we can also create an app that you can just click on it and see it. That's all from my side. Anything else? Any questions? Yes, please.
So 35 hours to 110 hours, is that all just for designing? Or?
It is the complete end-to-end process. So what happens, say in 35 hours, let's put it 30. 5 hours is the buffer time. Okay. So 10 hours we usually take to discuss the report requirements document with the end user. Okay, and prepare the requirements document. There will be 2 iterations to it. Once this is finalized, and you would have seen here that there is a thing called signature, approved by, or document sign off. So on that specific date, the document is approved by the end user, that means this is freezed. Nobody will make any change to it. If there is any change after that date, will be covered under change request section, and we will charge. That is different from these 35 hours. Okay, so that is done. Say 10 hours we will do all those requirements gathering and preparing this document, finalizing it, or say extra 5 hours we'll put it here. 15 hours we know that the requirements document is complete with your universal report specification. Then after that the development will start. So development will take say another 10 hours, 25. Okay, where you have development plus little bit of testing, the first initial testing, which usually a developer will do. Okay, and say, okay, makes sense. Once that is done, then the actual tester, report tester, will test the report, because we need a third person to test the report, not the same person who is developing the report. Because if I ask you, how is your handwriting, you will say it's awesome, same I say for myself, but it is not good. So the third person will be testing, the tester will test the report, and say another 3-4 hours, say add one more, 5. By 30th, by the last hour, the report is already in a good shape, and if there are some bugs and some bug fixes, that is already covered in those 5 hours and stuff. So by 30 hours, we are sure that the report is developed and ready to ship to the customer. But what we also do to make sure the customer is happy, he is not running in a forest. So we do a walkthrough with the customer. We say, okay, this is a requirements document that you signed off on. This is the report. And these are test cases that you have provided. Makes sense, everything is correct, and the person says, perfect. Then we publish it to wherever the location they want to publish.
I have a second question. Do you guys ever reuse some of the stuff? Like, I know that you guys have multiple customers, right? And there's only a limited amount of what kind of reports that they can have. So there's bound to be some similarities between different reports. Would you ever reuse some of the structure? Like, just a question about work practices and stuff like that. Or would you build everything from the ground up again?
Okay. So to answer your question, these are called templates.
Yeah.
Templates are like our lifeline. So we work on templates. To use, we can, because if they're different customers, they will definitely different ERPs, unless they are using the same ERP, let's say AX, or say, for example, this example, Microsoft Dynamics AX 2009, if somebody is using it, and the other customer is also using Microsoft Dynamics AX 2009, then there would be some overlap that we understand, and we might not be using the requirements document, same requirements document, but using template. But because we have the knowledge about it, it would take less than 35 hours for us to develop the customer aging report for the another customer, because we know which tables to look at it. Even though there would be some customization might have been done in the database by that customer, by the second customer, or might be on the front end. They said, okay, I don't call it a division, I call it partition, or I call it a department, something like that.
So just to answer that, what we get is experience and the knowledge that, okay, if he wants this, he probably means going here, 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 and here. But still, we have to go to all those places to check that every single thing is what we think it is. because we don't know any customization that they made that might be wrong. That might be things that we're not expecting. So that's why we always put like 35, because we still need to go and do all that work, even though we know that it's supposed to be like that.
Somebody? Yes.
I have one question for the class. Rupmeet showed you a document with the line that says approved by. What do you think is the consequence to a business student? Some of you are in accounting or finance, and I'm happy that you're here. Thank you for being here. But supposing you did not take this course with some of your friends, what do you think that word there, approved by, and the line there actually means? I wrote on this in 335. I don't know if you remember. In my requirement stuff. There's a line there that says approved by, and someone signs it. What's the consequence? And
Basically, if it screws up, then the responsibility falls on the person who signed it, because they guarantee that it's whatever they're supposed to guarantee.
So people get paid even though the report doesn't work, or the report is not what exactly that was in their brain, but not on paper. Yes, please.
So suppose your customer says, we don't want Microsoft products, we want, let's say, Linux or Oracle. Are you guys sort of limited because you guys are partnered with Microsoft, or do you guys find that it's not a limitation?
No, we are not limited, but the reason why I showed you Microsoft was because it was on my system. Nothing restricted to any specific platform. Any other questions? Yes, please.
Just like concerning the normal work, like what are the kind of challenges that you face with having to get information about it?
Time. Not hours, but users' time. Okay. Then secondly, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for us to see what's in the end user's brain, what he's thinking or what she's thinking while developing this. Just give you an example. Last week, we had a call with a customer, and what we actually received. So they just to paper. So what happened? They moved to a new ERP system, and to develop the report in using the language of that specific ERP system costs a lot because the resources are limited. Means the number of people whom you will find also in Vancouver, in India, or anywhere in the world is limited. So there is a workaround to it. So you can develop SSRS reports, which is the report that I have showed it to you, and plug it in that ERP. So this work is way cheaper than the using that language. So what they did, they ran the report, which is like a report that came with the ERP. Okay, they said we really want to make changes to this report. We really want to customize it. This is the report. Literally, I have a scanned copy of that, and we need to. And they scribbled the paper and said, okay, has to be a new column, this column, and whatever. And that we received via email. We prepared this requirements document. We started preparing the requirements document so that we are ready for the first call with the customer, because we don't want to waste their time, or the end user, to be specific. The end user, she was accounts receivable manager in this same report, customer aging report. What she was saying, there was another column here called customer group. Yeah, customer group. So which had like CAD in the paper that they gave it to us. And there were some values over here. Then we were discussing with her, she was saying, oh, there can be another examples where you will have USD as well in the report. I said, okay, no worries. Then how would you like to show here? Would you like to have, because these are not the transaction currencies. If you think in the same report USD can come, because what is happening, there is a grand total here. You cannot add a $1 with $1 Canadian dollar and say this. So what you have to do, you have to either use a secondary currency, which is the multiplication with the exchange rate, whatever is in the system. So these kind of questions, or these kind of, I would say, scenarios, the end user might not even think. Even though I'm not challenging their competence, but I'm thinking like, when they are looking at the report, they're just thinking, oh, everything works, everything should be there. But Here, people like you who has business knowledge would come and say, okay, hey, this we cannot do. I understand that this report will show US dollars in some way or the other, but it cannot be, then you will not have a total here. If you are showing US dollars, there should be no total. Or you can have subtotals, okay, but you will not have a grand total here. So things like that, these are a couple of challenges that we really face in reports.
And so it's trying, just with the customer, with the final users, trying to separate the, they think they're telling you everything versus everything you need. They're always they always think they're telling you, by just telling you a couple of things, you'll know exactly what they're thinking. And actually you don't know that, and you need to tell that to your developers, who know even about the specific thing, who know even less than you do. So it's something that just trickles down.
Things like this date, transaction date or due date. What's the date I'm talking about? Yes, please.
Just one more tie in with 335. What Martin just explained to you. A certain picture popped up in my brain. You pop up the same picture. He said the user tell you a couple of things and he expects you to know what's in his head or her head.
Oh, the swing.
That's right. Thank you. Remember the picture of the swing?
Yeah.
Right? So now you see the user thinks they want to swing, but you think you want something else.
Oh yeah.
Those tree thing, right?
Yeah,
the tree and swing.
Yeah.
It's floating around on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we are done. Okay.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Martin and Damon,
Yeah.
I want to thank you all for coming, and I appreciate all my guest speakers, but I think you guys presented the best one for me.
Oh.
Yeah, simply because you can see I kept stopping you to tie in what we have taught them even in 335, and your SQL statements were all what they had just done also for the midterm. So I just wanted the students to see firsthand that this is what, as a business analyst, you are expected to do. Okay? Because also often, I mean, some textbooks simply say, oh, you'll be a business analyst and you will merge technical and business users' requirements. That's all they say. That's it. But you can see that under the tip of that nice conceptual 3 words is 110 hours of extra work if you don't get it right. Okay? And I hope that you see that the requirements document that I've been putting up for 335, although not as official and as tight as anything, I want to tell you a story, and this is also for Rupmeet and everybody. The first time that 335 was taught by a PhD student who's today a faculty member, but forgive him, he's just a young student at the time. He gave you no forms. He simply said, please create a form to enter menus or movies or whatever it was he gave you. The students all marched to the dean's office. They said, how do I know what to do? Well, you see that your clients don't tell you what to do. You have to dream up a form for your clients. Okay? And if you see all my forms, form 1, form 2, form 3, all the buttons are at the lower right hand corner. Perhaps you thought that was, well, yeah, of course it's there. But if I didn't say so, if you didn't specify in your requirements document, I can put the button anywhere I want. Okay? So, of course, in 235, we don't want to cause you to have any kind of nervous breakdown or whatever it is. And also the fact that, as Rupmeet said, 35 hours or 100 hours is not achievable in a 13-week course. So we have to simplify it a lot. But that's why I'm especially glad that Rupmeet and his team show you that all these things that one may see as being natural and energy is always there, without the extremely hard work and diligence of the team, it's not going to do that. And if you don't know what you're doing, I say again that I thank you all for taking the additional BTM courses, because your friends who said good riddance to me, they would have to sign that approval document one day without understanding any of the stuff that you do. They have to sign it because they're the user. The user has to approve the system. Okay, so if you don't understand what you're signing, you just signed away 100 hours of labor, and the system may or may not work. Okay, so now you know why there's so many. In 235 also I show you. Now you know why there's so many projects, each one worth millions of dollars, and they all fail. all approved by people who don't know what they're approving. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, thanks so much.